Hello everyone, my name is Joe, and I'm the creator of a project called Nubble, a place for gamers to discover one another and connect. And for this bi-weekly update video, I wondered for a while just exactly how I wanted to do it. The last several update videos have mostly been pretty abstract things. I had been focusing on figuring out how to turn Nubble into a business so that it can live and thrive in the long term. And there wasn't really much to present visually to anyone. This time around, I've actually been working on software end of it for about 3 weeks, and I have lots to show. So, the main features I want to cover are the new questing system, the new dashboard, the new in-game currency for Nubble, a number of UI improvements, including keeping things mobile friendly, touch base on events and groups, as well as the game and platform pages, and touch base on the cake game. So, getting started with quests. Nubble has a new questing system. What exactly is this? Well, the simplest way I can summarize it is it's basically classified advertising for gamers in games. If you want some help with something in a game, you can create a quest for someone to accept, you can put up a reward for them, and have them come help you out. On the other hand, if you want to help other people out, you can offer your services and obviously put up a price. The in-game currency system I mentioned earlier is basically an incentive for people to quest. You trade gold, as well as 2 other currency items, currently hats and keys. They felt like the most gamery types of currencies I could come up with for the time being. And around those currencies, I have some future plans for how to kind of put them into place in terms of how to earn the currency as well as how to spend it. But for the moment, currency is used primarily and really only on quests. And the flow for quests is basically you put up your quest, people send you a bunch of offers, and you can accept or decline the offers. Once you've accepted an offer, eventually you wait until they've handed in the request, and you can either pass or fail them. If you pass them, obviously you have to give them their reward. If you fail them, you don't. But along with the questing system, to hold people accountable, there is a new user referencing system. That's right, you can leave references for people. Now, it's necessary to introduce a reference system in order for questing to work, to hold people accountable. But there are also plenty of other places in Nubble that referencing can work down the road. You could have references for groups to say whether or not a group was a good experience or whether or not it fits you. You can leave references for events to say whether or not particular events played out well, or just kind of references for people you know and you want to leave them a good reference. My objective with references is to not reduce people down to numbers. To not say, oh, this is a 5-star person, this is a 4-star, that's a 2-star person. When you're doing that, you're really just boiling people down to numbers, and that's not how social interaction or humanity really works. Furthermore, if you find yourself in a hole and you have a couple bad references, it can be really difficult to dig your way out of that. And so this isn't a star-based system. This isn't a system which basically tallies up how many negative or how many positive references you have. Right now, I'm intending the only thing to ever be shown alongside a user is how many references they have. If there's negative or positive references, it's going to be on the other users to go on and investigate and decide for themselves based on reading the references what they think. Along with that, people can always respond to references left on their profile, so you can hopefully see both sides of the picture. This is really early, it's really experimental, and it's kind of the first step in towards holding people accountable and reducing toxicity in gaming as far as one of Nubble's core goals. And along with quests, there is a quest search page, the same way that you can search for users, the same way you can search for events, and the same way you can search for groups, you can also search for quests. And once you find a quest that you're interested in, and you want to send an offer to complete that quest, you can also negotiate the reward. If there is no reward posted, you can put a price you think is reasonable. If there is a price, you can adjust it based on what you think is reasonable, and wait to see whether or not your offer gets accepted. And the next major feature is the dashboard. So Nubble has had a number of features over the past 4 or 5, maybe 6 months. Again, groups, events, and quests being the main ones. Things were starting to get a little bit cluttered, and the UI was starting to make a little bit less and less sense. I was trying to figure out where to smush things in, where to cram them, and I just wasn't really happy with it. Also with the onboarding process, kind of introducing new users onto the website, giving them the reminders to fill out their profile and showing them all the different things they can do, I was kind of just cramming a ton of crap at the top of the page, and it ended up being more and more. Once I finally went to introduce quests to the user profile page, it was just way too much, and I decided to break things down a bit. So I've introduced a dashboard. I also reworked the user profile page, so things are segregated a little bit better than they used to be. Actually, a lot better than they used to be. And one of the things that's offered up on the dashboard, as well as a menu with the primary things you can do on Nubble, is a list of all the games and platforms that you have on your account, and links to essentially perform quick searches on those games and platforms. So say I've added World of Warcraft to my account, and I want to find all users who play WoW. I just click on the button underneath the World of Warcraft thing on the dashboard that says all users, and it will automatically start a search for me, filtering out for users playing WoW. Similarly, I can filter out for all quests regarding WoW, all events, or all goals, or all groups. This is the first step towards providing basically either quick searches or suggestions for users, something I've wanted to do for a while, and it's something that's definitely going to grow and become a lot more powerful and useful down the road. But for now, I think this is a really good first step. Moving on from the dashboard, I've made a lot of UI changes over the past 3 weeks. So statistically, over the last 22 days, I've made 46 commits to the Nubble project. In doing so, I've added about 10,277 lines of code, and I've removed 3,337 lines of code while altering or adding or adjusting 193 separate files. And that's in addition to doing all of the visual design, all of the technical design, database design, and everything else required to actually come up with the features and develop them. So there are a lot of changes in this, a lot of them to existing features, a lot of them to existing user interface elements, a number of bug fixes, and just small tweaks throughout about how everything works, with a good amount of attention paid to the user onboarding process, as well as just general use of the website. I've made a ton of changes. And so it's going to be impossible for me to recall or find or show all the different user interface changes I've made. But some of the major ones are, again, the user profile page. A lot of the information that's crammed up at the top is now presented a little bit better, especially on desktop, and it breaks down quite nicely for tablet and phone views, keeping things nice and mobile friendly. User messaging has also changed a little bit as well. The messages are a bit more compact now, and I've opted to show the message input box up at the top of the message list and go down from there, as opposed to having the message box at the bottom. I already rolled this change out to the live production server, but Markdown is now supported for a number of different text boxes, meaning if you want to have bold text, italic text, make a list, have headings, you can do all of it now by use of the Markdown language. Whenever you have the option to use Markdown, you'll see a link to use it, so don't worry, there's cheat sheets right there, just click that link. When putting together the quest page for finding quests and presenting quests pretty much everywhere, I opted to go with a fairly compact view. So on Nubble, when you're browsing users, you might only be able to see 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe like 5 users on your page at once if you're on a desktop, maybe 2 or maybe 3 users if you're on a phone. For quests, you'll see many, many more. On desktop, maybe you can see like 15 or 20 quests at a time. For now, I'm going to keep users with the larger format. I might consider switching groups and events down to the compact format as well, because I really think it makes sense to just get through those as quickly as possible. Anyone who registers on the website will have a slightly different experience now. The default welcome page has been trimmed down a bit and gets to the point, provides a lot less text to read, and I think does a better job. By default, people will also be presented with the dark theme, which, if you haven't already discovered, if you click on the top right menu, once these new changes are pushed out, you'll see an option to toggle between light and dark theme. Currently on the website, without these changes pushed out, it's in the top right. I find myself using the dark theme pretty much all the time, and there's not really much sense in keeping it light, in my opinion. I also removed a bunch of the top clutter on the website, and it's now collapsed underneath of the top drop-down menu. And the top drop-down menu has now been segregated a little bit more, so it should be a bit easier to navigate through that. I also want to mention real quickly the game and platform pages. I put these together last summer, so there's actually an index page where you can view all platforms at a glance and get kind of statistics for how many users are on each one. Same thing with games. You can get a very quick glance at what the most popular games on Nubble are, how many users are on them, and so on. And there are pages for each individual platform and game. Go to any one of them by clicking on a platform or game throughout the website. Most of them are hyperlinked. Some of them intentionally are not. You'll be able to see all of the events, all of the groups, all of the quests, and all of the users for any given game or platform. It's just one way that I think it's really easy to navigate Nubble and find exactly what you want to find. It's by no means complete, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. Further, notifications were released onto the website quite a while ago. I'm covering them in this video in brief because I don't think I really gave them much attention before. Basically, it's a notification system that you would expect on websites like Facebook. It's in the top right. You click on the little flag and it'll tell you what your most recent notifications are. Click on any notification to go to the relevant content. Events as well are something that I pushed out in the late summer, I think, but not really something I've had much of a chance to cover. It's basically a place where you can go if you want to organize an event. If it's a LAN party, a tabletop group, maybe a D&D session, or if you just want to get a guild run together, maybe do a raid or play with some people online, you can use the event system to do that. If you're not sure what time you want it to run at, you can invite some people to your event and people can actually vote on the time that it should take place. It'll give you an idea of who wants to play when and help you better choose a time. Same thing for games. You can actually vote on what games an event should be hosting. So if you're doing a LAN party, people can vote on the games they'd like to play at that LAN party, or you can just add the list of games people might be able to play at and see which ones are most popular. Similarly, when you create a group, people can by default vote on what games they want listed under that group. And you can have groups for anything you want, any kind of game. Games that happen in real life, whether it's LARPing or RPGs or tabletop or maybe on Xbox or PlayStation or PC or even handheld. You can make a group for any platform you like or any game. And finally, there's the cake game, something I made late last winter for Nubble, just as an idea to see if people liked it, and I've got a lot of good feedback on it. Unfortunately, since I initially put it out, I haven't been able to dedicate any time or really effort into it because everything else has been taking up so much of my time. But I would like to develop more content and more functionality into the cake game based on all the great feedback that I've had. We'll see when or if I can find time to do it. I've pretty much been coding on all these other features nonstop, and as it is, I don't have enough time to get everything done. Whenever I can find the time, I would like to continue on with this cake game. I'm going to try and make it a little bit more obvious on the site that it exists, and hopefully that'll be able to motivate me to put more time and effort into it if I find that people are really kind of finding it neat and fun. You know, if people enjoy it, that gives me a lot of motivation to complete it. I mean, that's pretty much my entire motivation for working so hard on this project for the past year and a half is I can help people by doing this, and I think that's pretty bloody awesome. And knowing that I'm actually doing something that can solve problems is pretty big. I mean, I built this whole website just to solve a problem that I had, but in a way that I figured could help other people at the same time. And so that's it. I think that's a fairly good summary of all the things I've been working on the last few weeks. Hopefully I will get these rolled out in maybe the next week or two, maybe the next 3 weeks, end of December at the latest. And the reason I've been focusing on these last few weeks and working so hard on them is come January, February, March, and April, I'm going to go back on to promoting Nubble to get more users onto it. And I wanted to make sure I had a lot of these features in place and tested and working in good order before I actually tried to bring more people onto the site. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for listening. I will catch you on the next bi-weekly update video. Have a good one. Bye-bye.